Hi, I'm Nigel Smith, and we're here at the People and EW TIFF studio at the Toronto International Film Festival 2022. And we're here with the cast and the director of the fabulous new film, Alice Darling. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Congratulations. So you're premiering the movie tonight, world premiere. This movie deals with some pretty difficult and harrowing subject matter, and I'm wondering what drew you all to the material.
Well, I'll start. I was drawn to the material because I think this is a kind of relationship that you don't see very often on screen. When you see abusive relationships in general, they tend to be of the physical kind, and they tend to sometimes veer towards quite extreme behavior that we maybe broader audiences wouldn't recognize or identify with. And I think the subtlety and the nuance of what Alana Francis has written in this script was really interesting and felt quite fresh and original. And then I think also just that the character is somebody who's internally struggling with a lot of what she's dealing with. And as a director, that's quite interesting. How do you visualize that? How do you make it accessible to an audience?
And the cast, yeah, same question.
Exactly what she said. but also, you know, playing Tess, playing Alice's friend, I was really interested in the dynamic of a friendship, a friend watching somebody in their life go through this sort of thing and feeling helpless. And, you know, having been somebody who's gone through something like this and had people in my life go through, you know, these sort of situations, I've never seen a script like this, and that's what really attracted me to it. And Anna's all right.
She bullies me constantly.
You're obsessed with me.
I know, it's true. Yeah, I think we all really responded to the script, and there was something about Alana's writing where it wasn't like it was like very prescriptive. You know, it wasn't like I could immediately picture what she necessarily wanted out of each performance and each shot and each scene. It was more that she had done this really beautiful job of like crafting a tone and an atmosphere, and it felt like if you responded to the script, it would be because you responded to that atmosphere. And so even coming in, it felt like everybody was presenting this really united front, because there was something in the kind of poetry underneath the screenplay that you identified with.
That's a lovely way to put it.
Yeah.
I'm very lovely.
Great.
I think Mary's right that, you know, there are a bunch of movies around about these kind of relationships, not least because just in our zeitgeist right now, it's something that we're kind of confronting. I'm not sure about in Canada, but in the UK, it's only very recently that coercive control became a crime, was recognized as a crime. And when something like that happens, I think there's an initial rush to try to make art about it, which can be kind of a little bit on the nose because it's a problem that you're trying to put in front of people. And so it's nice to see something which is much more nuanced in its depiction of something which the whole point of this type of abuse is the nuance in it. And that's what makes it hard to spot and hard to recognize.
Now, Charlie, you play the abuser. Were you apprehensive at all about tapping into this toxic man's energy, and how did you go about crafting that performance?
Yeah, definitely. And I think because, like I said, this is something that's really on people's minds at the moment. There's a lot of these roles around. Like in the last few years, I've done a lot of kind of bad man roles, you know? And so I think it's important not to just separate people into bad people and good people. You have to try to... The uncomfortable part of it is that you have to think, how might I behave this way? Or when do I feel these things that might, if I took it further, lead to this kind of behavior? You know, rather than just, well, I'm a great guy, I would never do this, I'm going to put my bad guy costume on and do it. So it's more uncomfortable the more you start to imagine bridging that gap between yourself and the character.
How did you and Anna, and this is a question for you as well, develop that trust that you obviously had to have as performers to depict this relationship?
To be honest, quickly and clumsily, because we didn't, you know, we were shooting it a year ago in Canada where quarantine rules were really, really strict. And so it was like sort of Zoom sessions and then getting thrown straight in. And, you know, I think Charlie is just unbelievably thoughtful about this character, and I mean, even earlier I was hearing you describe it as almost like being held hostage to your bad impulses, and that's just such a thoughtful way to think of it, because it is almost like he's a good person who is letting himself, you know, I mean, you can debate the nuances of that, but let's say letting himself be held hostage to these bad impulses, and like trying to keep himself safe. And like he just always came at it from that lens of finding compassion for this character, and it felt like I knew that I could trust his instincts immediately. And I've said it before. I've you know, showered you with praise before. I'm so happy to have had him as a partner.
Thank you.
Now, Anna, this is a very different type of performance that I'm used to seeing you in. It's a very interior role for you, and you don't say much over the course of the movie. You keep it all bottled in, oftentimes in the bathroom, where you have a lot of pretty harrowing
Feelings,
scenes.
big feelings.
Big feelings. What was that like for you, having to keep so much in?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, you know, the kind of running joke now, especially with the mainly Canadian and British crew, is that I'm like loud and shrill and talkative, and you know, my voice is
Not true. It's not true.
She says it's not true.
Whispered Mary.
But yeah, like being sort of extroverted and using my voice and my language is how I've sort of gotten through the world as a person and as an actress. And so pulling back on that was really scary, and trusting that even if like each take didn't feel especially alive or impactful, that we were building an entire performance, and that's a really scary thing to do. It's a lot easier to kind of like reach into your bag of tricks and do a thing that you know has worked in the past. And it was a really terrifying and exciting thing to explore, and I was just really grateful for the cast and the team and the crew and everybody, because it was, you know, like this really tiny, intimate number of cast members and locations, and I felt very like held by the entire process.
That's great. You don't often see movies depict this type of abuse, and what do you all hope this film does out there in the world?
Well, it's funny, we've been talking about the way that some people view it through a kind of gendered lens, and that's not our aim at all. Even yesterday, somebody was talking about, like, do you hope it furthers the conversation? And you know, everybody's sort of allergic to that word now anyway, as they probably should be. But it wasn't like we were thinking about, the discourse. It was more of like, I hope that an individual could recognize themselves in this. I've never really thought about the collective watching the movie, and it's such an individual film, and it feels like we were always sort of thinking about the individual who might be watching it, if that makes sense.
I think that's quite right. I remember when I had a conversation with Cameron, the head of TIFF, about the film. He was saying that he felt that lots of people would be identifying with it, men and women, and not in one or other of the roles, both on the person who's experiencing the abuse, but also the person who's perpetrating it. And I think what I found really interesting is that the film deals with the grey area of relationships and of power dynamics. And I've had people come out of small screenings for the team and question their behaviour. Say, do I do that with my girlfriend or my boyfriend? Have I behaved like that? And I think that's really interesting. So I think on both sides, we're hoping that people can question their behaviour and look at their own relationships.
It's interesting when you say that, because so much of a relationship is that you open yourself up to another person, right? Two people let all their defenses down and let the other one in. So there has to be some space where you show them the bad part of you, and you can behave differently than you can with other people. But yeah, I hope people watch it and go, when I do that, what's that coming from? Is that bad behavior, and what impact does it have on my partner? When in this movie, you can see the character, Alice, is so defeated by when she's in private and with her friends, that I think people seeing the impact of, people don't get to see their partner when they're not with them. So I think seeing the impact of that kind of behavior is what might help people to recognize and change their own behavior.
On a much lighter note, something happened
Intense.
yesterday on your first day at the festival.
Or something totally different.
Something totally different. You all got stuck in an elevator. Was it all of you together?
No,
or?
I did not
was the
mean-
only one
Not
that
you,
was
okay.
cursed with this.
Okay.
Everybody else had a perfectly lovely day. And I got in the wrong elevator at the wrong time.
We just thought it would be a great icebreaker for Anna, just before she does all her
You know
prep,
what? Let's
you know?
just like hit stop on the elevator and let her figure
Yeah.
it out.
It's a game. Can you get out of the elevator or not?
Do you deserve to come and promote the film or not? How bad do you want it?
How much do you want it?
We got out.
Yeah, I got out. Some lovely Canadian firefighters had me crawl out the top of the hatch.
I would have paid to see all of this.
Oh,
Oh.
just love to watch me suffer. She's a nightmare.
That's why she's in the movie.
But it was like 7 of us in an elevator, just waiting to be rescued by firefighters.
You weren't
It was-
scared for your life?
No, it was so absurd that it would happen on like a film press tour that it just seemed like so immediately comical. I couldn't stop cracking jokes. Although maybe that's a defense mechanism. Come on, Anna.
No.
Do you know anything about yourself?
I don't think
I
so.
think that was probably a defense mechanism. Oh no, I'm not healthy.
Well, I can't wait to see your movie about it. Thank you so much, everyone, for stopping by, and have a great world premiere tonight.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.